What's going on, big guns and pistols? I'm back with another one. First off, I want to say if you like what I've been posting, if you enjoy the things that I've been showing you guys, the things that I've been talking about, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I do want to apologize about my voice. I might sound a little different. I'm just getting over something. I was a little sick. What I want to go ahead and discuss is why do I own these types of firearms? Excuse me about the horn blowing in the back. That's somebody outside. I was doing a lot of thinking. Why do I own weaponry of this sort? Why do I own weaponry at all? What led me into owning firearms, especially of this caliber? I'll tell you this. I remember being 16 years old, and my thing has always been to protect myself as much as possible, to try and protect my well-being as much as I possibly can. So at that time, I would have things like a box cutter, I would have bats, I had a machete, things like that at that particular time. That's what I had, of course, because I was too young, obviously, to get a firearm. And I had things like BB guns. I used to play around with BB guns and go in the backyard and shoot at jugs of water with BB guns. So I always had this love for firearms. I thought that they were cool, nice, but more importantly, I would be able to defend myself. I would be able to take care of myself. I would be able to defend my family, my sisters if I ever needed to, my mother. So that's pretty much what led me into it. Now, many people would look at these guns that you see here on the table and they say things like, well, why would a civilian need weaponry of that sort? Why would a civilian need weaponry of that kind, of that magnitude? There's been a serious attack on the Second Amendment. But not just the Second Amendment, many other amendments as well, many other forms of liberty. See, the problem with Americans is that you've had freedom for so long, you can't even recognize when you're losing it. You can't even recognize when it's starting to dwindle. This is why it's important to know and understand history. But Americans, you've inherited this freedom. You don't know what it's like to fight for anything. You don't really know what it's like to put up a fight for certain liberties that you have. Now, there is a great deal of men in this country who they're putting up a fight for the Second Amendment. They're putting up a fight for many different other freedoms and liberties that the American people have enjoyed. But I'll say this, I never wanted to be in a situation where I'm under attack and I can't properly defend myself. So that's why you see what you see here on the table. And if you've been following this channel for a while, or if you've seen some of my other videos, then you know the type of weaponry that I have. You know the type of weaponry and firearms that I'm into. You need more than just a pistol to protect and defend yourself properly. Properly is the key word. A lot of Americans, they're a very ignorant, mindless people. They don't understand why the Second Amendment was put into place. They really don't. They really don't care too much about the freedoms and liberties and maintaining them and keeping them as such as the founding fathers have written. And with that kind of a mind, with that kind of a mentality, that's a very dangerous mentality to have. When I have firearms like an AK, when I have firearms like an AR or whatever it is that you see that I have, I know that one day I want to pass this on to my children, to my son. I want to teach my son to properly defend himself, how to properly defend his family, land, whatever. But what's more important than one man with a firearm is multiple together. We're more powerful together than we are divided. And I see this every day. There's another video I'm going to be doing, and it basically is about how the liberties that we have here in America is being swept right from up under your feet, and you don't even realize it. You don't even see it until one day it's smack dab right in your face and you can't afford to not see it. So anyway, I never want to be in a position to where I can't properly defend myself. You got to know and understand the type of danger that's out there, the type of wickedness that is out there. And not just that, but there's such an attack on the Second Amendment when you look all over the place. If you pay attention to these types of things, when you look all over the place, you see all sorts of attacks on the Second Amendment. They want to tax ammunition. They want to tax the firearm itself. They want to basically neuter the magazine capacity. All of these different things to pretty much leave you in a position to where you don't have very much to work with. And one thing that I find is so interesting, how history repeats itself. I used to hear people say that a lot. History repeats itself. I've heard very, intelligent men, they would say history repeats itself. I'm sure you've heard it too. And the truth of that matter is it does. It does. It has a very strange, unique way of repeating itself because the people, they grow accustomed to freedom. See, the government, they've gotten incredibly large, dangerously large. And that's something I'm going to talk about in my other video. But keep and bear arms. If you live in a state like I do, one of these Democratic ran states that has this all-out war on rifles, move. Because that's what I'm going to do. Take your money to a state that respects freedom, that respects firearm ownership. A place like Texas, a place like Tennessee, Georgia, many different other states. It's dangerous for a society to be disarmed. And if you know a little bit about history, you would know this. What has always happened to a people who were disarmed? And I mentioned before that gun control, some of the first gun control laws, it was designed to keep blacks from being able to own firearms. Why would you want to keep a people from being able to properly defend themselves? So you can do whatever the fuck you want to do with them. So you can have your way with them. It's easy to control a people who are docile. It's easy to control a people who are ignorant. It's easy to control a people who are defenseless. It's easy to control a people who depend on you. That's why it's nice to build a community like many folks have done within the South. They're on their own land, private land. They look after one another. They help one another. They pool their resources together because, again, you're much stronger together than you are apart. But in order to be together, there's certain differences that have to be put aside for what's called the greater good. But so many people, they're so petty. They're so catty, like little bitches. They don't want to put their small difference aside for the great benefit of their people. Those are just a few thoughts that I had. As time goes on, I'm going to become more independent, more self-sufficient. Many of you probably have or haven't seen some of my little mini generators. You've seen some of my backpacks, my bug out bags, my to-go bags. You've seen my firearms. You pretty much know the type of mind that I have. I'm going to cut it there. This is Big Guns and Pistols. Peace.